Hey guys, I'm KobeDev and you're watching a brand new tier list video about the best and worst game engines. Of course, this is not an exhaustible list. I've just chosen 17 pretty well-known ones. You probably will only know like 5 or 6 of them if you're really into game dev. But yeah, I've chosen 17 just because I really like the number 17. No, I'm just kidding. I just chose 17 because I just searched up some game engines and just did my research on every one of them. So yeah, I'm going to be ranking them from S to D. I'm not including E and F because I don't really believe that any game engine can really be that bad unless it's made by like a 2-year-old. And I have chosen like good ones, so I don't want to really offend many people who might use some of these game engines and I put it in F tier. So I'm just going from S to D. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. So of course the first one, well, it's going to be Unity. So the recent Unity drama, it's kind of calmed down, mainly because Unity have kind of backpedaled on their decision and made it so only future games will be affected. All in all though, Unity itself, the game engine is really good. It is free. There are paid plans, I guess you could say, for commercial and other things. So it supports indie and also AAA. I'm gonna rank it S. Some quick facts as well, if you're really curious. It was fun. It was actually made in 2004, so it is old, but it's actually updated quite regularly. So yeah, it's really good. The language is also in C sharp primarily, but it also supports JavaScript and Boo. So yeah, next up, I may be biased with this one, but it is Godot. So Godot's the game engine I use for all my games. It's the game engine I have used, like the only game engine I've used. So I may be biased in my decision here, but it is open source. It's free. When you release it, you don't have to pay any fees to Godot. So that's really good. It's super good for indie developers just because it's, open source as well. And it was actually made a little bit later than Unity. It was made in 2007. Like a well-known game made in Godot is actually Hollow 2. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'll just insert a quick picture on the screen, but yeah, that one's definitely going in S tier. So Gamemaker, it was founded in 1999. It is closed source, so it's not open source like Godot, but it is closed source like Unity. It is publicly available. It's free. Like you can get a free trial, but there are like various pricing plans for different editions. So that kind of takes a notch down because you do get a free trial, but you have to pay after a while. Like a really well-known game made from Gamemaker is Undertale, actually. So yeah, that just kind of illustrates that it's really good for indie developers, even though you have to pay for it. So that's a little bit conflicting. Given that it has made a game like Undertale, I think I'm going to put that in B tier. Anyways, next up is Solar 2D. So this one was founded in 2009. It's open source like Godot. It's free as well, so that's perfect. Really good for indie games, but it only supports 2D as the name suggests. Um, so that's a little bit of a letdown, although it does have like improved graphics for 2D and whatnot. So it's kind of more specialized in that area. However, I'm judging the game engine as a whole, and the fact that you can't do 3D at all kind of takes a notch down. So unfortunately, I'm going to put that in C tier. Next up, we've got Defold or however you want to say it. This one's open source, it's free, so that's really good. A common game made in Defold is actually King of Thieves. Like some key features of Defold are it's collaboration based basically. That's the main feature of Defold, that you can collaborate with others. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's nothing too special, but I do like the fact that you can collaborate with others. Next up, we've got GDevelop. It's made in 2013. It's publicly available, open source, free. So that's definitely a big plus straight off the bat. But yeah, a slightly well-known game made in GDevelop is called Peace Death. I don't know if you've heard of it. I certainly didn't before researching this whole, tier list stuff. But the main thing about GDevelop is its visual scripting. So it's like blueprint style, similar to Unreal Engine if you've ever seen it. So that's a big plus for people who don't know how to program and definitely more suited towards beginners who are interested in programming but don't know all the syntax and whatnot. So yeah, I think I'm gonna actually rate that in A tier, just simply that it's suited for beginners, really easy to pick up in terms of the programming, just because it's like visual scripting, and I think that it's very well suited to the next generation of programmers. Next up, we've got Amazon Lumberyard. So Amazon Lumberyard, founded in 2016, definitely very new. It is open source. It is free as well. Unfortunately, there's not really a well-known game made with Amazon Lumberyard. You could say it's like, because it's relatively new, there's so many game engines out here. This is the top 17, and I think the main three have so many users, and there's just so many other game engines that people don't use. There isn't actually like a standout game made in Amazon Lumberyard. But basically, it is scripted in C++ and Lua. I think I'm going to put this one in D tier. Next up, we've got Unigine. So this one, again, kind of an older one. It's founded in 2005. It's closed source, and it only offers like commercial licensing with pricing based on the project like requirements. So if you're a AAA game developing company, you're gonna obviously have to pay big bucks to actually use it. A well-known game made with Unigine is called Oil Rush. So another thing with Unigine is it's very focused on the simulation and like visual architecture. So that kind of pumps it up. But again, it's not a very good one. It's only really if you're considering if you're in a game studio that can actually afford it. For that reason, I'm gonna put it in D tier. So yeah, this next one, Stride, is relatively new. It was made in 2017, or not made, founded in 2017, whatever you call it. It's open source as well. It's free, so that's a big plus as well. A well-known game made with Stride is called Stellar. It's kind of good for both indie development and AAA. I think this is definitely a good game engine to do whatever. It's very flexible, I'd say. If you know C Sharp, which is definitely a common language to use, it's really suited for people who know that. So that's definitely going in A tier. And next up, we've got Frostbite. So Frostbite is one of the game engines on the list that you can't actually use. It's owned by EA, so that's what EA uses for all their games like FIFA and all that stuff. So definitely got a lot of popular games that are made in Frostbite, so that kind of does bump it up in terms of the quality of the game engine itself, because that is what I'm ranking. However, you can't actually use it unless you're an EA employee, which, that's the only engine you're going to be using anyways. So for that reason, I am going to put it in B tier. And then next up, we have Source 2. So Source 2, similar to Frostbite, almost very similar to Frostbite. It's developed by Valve, closed source, only they use it. So I'm going to cut to the chase with this one. It's going in B tier as well. I'll just say like a few games made by Source 2 are Half-Life, Dota 2, you would have heard of the Half-Life series and stuff like that. That's very big series. So yeah, next up we've got the Open 3D engine. So this is actually the newest engine on the list. It's made in 2021, so only 2 years ago. It's publicly available, it's free, open source, all that stuff. So that's really good. There's not really too many well-known games just because it's so new. Again, there aren't too many standout features with this one, honestly. It's just simply like a game engine you'd use for 3D game development. So it's gonna go in C tier just because it's new. There's definitely a lot of other game engines out there that have a lot more experience, that have been around for longer, that you could use, but just because it's new doesn't mean it's going to be terrible. So for that reason, I'm putting it C tier. So next up, we have Tick 80. So this one, founded in 2017, relatively new as well. A well-known game made with Tick 80 is Celeste, well, at least originated as a Tick 80 project and then moved to a different game engine. This one is mainly emulating older computers and older processors, hence the pixelated logo. But yeah, it has a lot of support for the older game consoles. And for that reason, it's a very specialist type of engine that you would want to use for a specific project. Not really for your general indie game. This is for if you want to make an older type of game where you're emulating the older game consoles of the older generation and stuff like that. So definitely has its pros, but again, it has its cons as well, mainly just because it's quite unsupported, doesn't have a lot of people using it. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in C tier. Next up, you guys definitely would have heard of this one. It's Unreal Engine. So yeah, it uses the blueprint model as well of coding, so you don't actually need to know a programming language, which is very good. It's actually founded way back in 1998. So it is relatively old, but it is up to date as well. Yeah, you would have seen Unreal Engine 5 coming out with all the super good graphics, all the shadows. So very good. It's made Fortnite, it's made the Matrix game thingy that they used to show off Unreal Engine 5's capabilities. It's made Rocket League, it's made so many good games. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in S tier. So next off, we've got a fairly uncommon one. It's called KobeDev. It was founded in 2010. It is, however, closed source, but it is publicly available, so it's not like proprietary company stuff or whatever. But you do have to pay for like commercial licensing with different, plans and whatnot. A well-known game made with KobeDev is actually Tiny Thor. It's pretty good for 3D game development and minimal programming as well. The language that you do programming in is JavaScript and ActionScript, which is its native language that they use. I'm going to rate this one a C tier, just mainly because it's not really suited to indie game developers. Next up, we've got Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, or Rage for short. This was made by Rockstar. You would have heard it from like GTA and stuff. So this is, again, similar to Frostbite and Source 2, made by Rockstar Games. It's used only for Rockstar games. It's not publicly available, etc. And all the Rockstar titles are actually made in the game engine. I think this is just a stock standard B tier, similar to the other ones. And then finally, last but not least, we've got Luminous Engine. It is closed source. It's not publicly available. Similar to the other 3 closed source, not publicly available ones. I'm chucking it in B tier just because I don't want to discriminate, but a good game made in Luminous Engine is like the Final Fantasy series and whatnot. So definitely really good games. I'm not going to go on too much longer about why I'm putting it in B tier because I've done it for 3 other ones. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, just like and comment your thoughts if I should do part 2. And if I should do part 2, what game engines, because I pretty much used all of them. Anyways, see you later.